Glenn, how are you?
Oh, fabulous.
Great.
Fabulous.
Great
Yes,
news.
yes.
Great news.
Yeah, thank you. Target has announced that Brian Cornell is stepping down as the CEO of the retail giant after 11 years, and the value of the stock plummeting. It's down, I think, 61% since its all-time high, but its all-time high was COVID, when the government said, you can only shop at Target. It's the only safe place. That and Home Depot, the only safe place on the planet. So, of course, they went through the roof then, and they're down. But they're down, 28% since the start of the year. Not real good. Now, of course, everybody on the right is saying, that's because they were involved with DEI. And then everybody on the left is like, that's because they got rid of DEI. Oh, well, you can't have both. You can't have both. So I don't know what it is. All I know is, when did they start doing that DEI thing? Around 2022, something like that?
I feel like that's when it at least became a story. It was right around 2022, 2023. They may have been doing it before then.
And I know that I talked to women. I talked to my wife, and she was like, no, Target is the only place I can go and get everything in one stop. I don't care if the cashier is Beelzebub. Gotta be $41.95. I mean, it was like, you couldn't get people to stop going to Target. Now I don't know why. What has happened? What's happened? I mean, I don't shop at Target, so I don't know. Have you heard your wife all of a sudden saying, Target really kind of sucks right now?
No.
I found it a lot easier to go to 7 different stores.
I think you're right in that we tend to just tie every news story to the thing we've been talking about. That's something that everybody seems to do, and they're managing hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of merchandise over thousands of stores. Like, they're probably more than just whether they had a rainbow shirt or not. It's probably bigger than that. I mean,
I would love for that to be true. I just don't want to, dance on the grave unless I know that's true. I don't know if that's true.
Right. Because if you look at I'm looking at their stock chart right now. Yes, it peaked in 2021. That was, I feel like 2023 maybe it was. There was a fall after that, but it rose back up through 2024.
Right.
It just kind of like crashed after 2025. Now that might have been weak holiday sales. Like, I don't know. I don't follow it on a day-to-day basis to know exactly
when did they get rid of DEI? Because maybe the last time the crash came because everybody on the right was like, I'm not going to shop there, and that lasted a couple of months, and then their stock rebounded. But now maybe, when did they get rid of DEI? Because maybe they got rid of DEI, and now everybody on the left is like, I'm not going to shop there, and everybody will forget about it, and they'll go shop there. But maybe that was just too much of a fall for them to take.
I'm looking for the date here.
This is why you just don't get involved in politics. Politics change all the time. Anybody who's looking at the, celebratory numbers of the Democrats right now and how they are just imploding. Be careful, because it's going to come back around. It always does. I remember, 2008, Barack Obama and everybody else was like, the Republicans will never win ever again. The Republicans are so out of touch. They will never, ever, ever win. Well, look at it now. It just comes back. So now I don't know if it's going to. The Republicans, I don't think ever did the damage that the Democrats are doing to themselves right now. Holding press conferences with burning cars. This is mostly peaceful, and then shootouts behind them and crime on the streets. Great. I don't know anybody who's done that kind of damage. And that's the damage that they're doing right now. Oh, and they're actually saying this. It's a mostly peaceful protest behind me. Pay no attention to the cars or the bullets, because it's very, very safe out here. What we care about is redistricting, because we know that's exactly where the people are, redistricting. Now, guess again.
So this is interesting, guys. So it was 2023 was the conservative pushback on all of the kind of craziness going on at Target. And that did seem to lead to a dip in the stock price, but it recovered.
Yeah.
2020. So there was a new boycott by the left, a 40-day boycott that they started in March, it looks like, to try, because they were upset that they got rid of the DEI. This is your summary of this is so apt, because it's just like, don't get involved in this stuff. Just freaking sell things.
Just stay out.
Just make stuff and sell it.
Just leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Because it is hard. I see. We've had so many of these controversies over the years, and you do see how hard it must be as a company to deal with this nonsense, because you get targeted. These things happen to you, and if you're not an ideological company that has a belief in something, and you're just kind of floating out there and being like trying to react to whatever way the wind is blowing, it's got to be really hard to manage. It's not easy to do. That being said, that's why you don't get into it, right? Like, you got to know that. You're an American company. You reflect American values, what your consumers want, and then you leave it. Keep it nice and simple after that. You don't need to make.
Just know who you are. You know what? Nobody is popular. Nobody. Have you ever known anybody that everybody really kind of liked after a while? If once you figure out, oh man, they don't believe any of that crap. They're just doing that to be in the cool kid camp. Those people never last. Those people are not cool. The people who are cool, who know who they are. I've said this a million times. I think the sexiest thing a woman can do is just know who she is. Know absolutely who she is, and doesn't care. Doesn't care about what anybody else thinks. This is what I am. Yeah, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. If that's what she is, great. I find that very attractive. I'm not hitting on stay-at-home mom. You know what I mean. But Nobody likes somebody who is just going with the wind. You're a weasel. You're a kiss spot. That's all you are. Anyway, did you see the thing on Cracker Barrel as well while we're here on companies?
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel
changing their logo?
Cracker Barrel has changed their logo. And did they really? Really? They got rid of the guy sitting next to the Cracker Barrel. But other than that, it's the same logo. I'm pretty sure, I wouldn't have noticed a difference. I would have noticed the guy and the barrel gone. But if that was just there, I would have liked that. No, that's not a change. They augmented it some. They deleted some things in it. But oh my gosh, this is trending on social media like crazy. Everybody's like, they've sold out. They've sold out because they got rid of the barrel? Really? Seriously? There it is.
Yeah, it's a little different. Maybe the font's a little different. There's not much of a difference. Yeah, there's not much of a difference.
Yeah, but play the news report on this.
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and every other year, and the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So we're doing everything for our guests and our team members.
Okay, stop. This is a lie. This is a lie. I don't believe anybody. Customers, maybe the managers and people who are really, really deep into Cracker Barrel. But I don't believe any customer is ever like, I'm just going to ask the manager, when are you going to come up with a new logo? Because I want the T-shirt. Nobody is doing that. Nobody is doing that. Okay, so I don't buy that at all. But you know what I think this is? You know why I think people are, maybe, if they are upset about the guy sitting next to the barrel, the Cracker Barrel. First of all, nobody knows what a Cracker Barrel is anymore. But the guy sitting next to a Cracker Barrel, I think that could be. Have you gone into a McDonald's lately? That's not McDonald's. It's just not McDonald's. I like it, but it's not McDonald's. And, with everything changing, I think there are some people, and Cracker Barrel is one of these things. It's nostalgic. It's meant to be nostalgic. Cracker Barrels weren't really around when I was a kid. So it's meant to be nostalgic. And the whole thing is nostalgia, and a lifestyle, an American lifestyle. And so with Cracker Barrel, I can see people getting upset and going, hey, wait a minute, wait. Let's not change this too. Can we just leave things alone for just a while? Because everything else in life is changing. And I do believe that maybe Cracker Barrel is in this carve out of leave it alone. But everything else is becoming. Did you see what's the logo now that is it McDonald's that is just having the M on the side of the? I mean, it's very small. You seen that?
Yeah, a lot of I've seen that complaint around too. That there was a time where all the characters were all over the building and the colors were all over the building, and it was this exciting, fun place for kids to go. And now it's just this sort of bland, minimalist.
So, but you know what that is? Not millennials. Z in particular, they do not like brands. They don't like corporate brands. That time is over. You remember when? I mean, it wasn't too long ago that if it was a brand. I mean, do you remember when the Ralph Lauren Polo Pony was little, and then it became like half of the shirt was the Polo Pony, and you're like, okay, Ralph, slow down, calm down just a little bit. Logos were so overdone that now youth they don't like that corporate thing. They don't like it. So I can see that for the youth, times are changing. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. We are living in a time that is as dramatic as it was when the car came in. The horse and buggy was gone. Electricity started. Refrigeration was there. That is the kind of change we're living in, and we're the ones who are like, I used to plow those fields by hand, and anybody who doesn't strap it to the back of a horse, they don't know what life is. That's who we are, because everything is changing. All right, I want to talk to you a little bit about Beth and Beyond in just a second, because we have the new CEO on, and he is having a delicious fight with the governor of California. Hang on just a sec. Imagine your body as a neighborhood, okay? Most days it's quiet, it's peaceful, it's mostly peaceful, way a neighborhood should be. Then someday some jerk moves in, he's loud, he's messy, he throws parties out on the lawn and throws cigarette butts on the sidewalk, parks his broken car out in the front lawn, and soon you're not living in your house anymore. You're just enduring it. Worst part of the way, he's not going to leave. Worst part is he's not going to leave. He's not going to. That jerk is inflammation. Relief Factor is the eviction notice, a doctor-designed blend that works quietly to quiet that unmasked noise, okay? Push the troublemaker out. Give him an eviction notice and give you the peace of mind for your own body. It's about taking care of things the way your body naturally would, not numbing pain with a quick fix. It's about helping restore your body's balance and heal itself to the way it was meant to be. So when the neighbors are peaceful again, you'll notice something. The laughter comes back. The energy returns. Life doesn't feel like you're just enduring it anymore. It feels like your life again. You can give their 3-week quick start a try for only $19.95. Just visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800, the number 4, RELIEF. 10 seconds and back to the show. Okay, so yesterday, Bed Bath & Beyond came out with a statement from their new executive chairman, and he said, "We will not open or operate retail stores in California. This decision isn't about politics, it's about reality. California has created one of the most overregulated, expensive, and risky environments for business in America. It's a system that makes it harder to employ people, harder to keep the doors open, and harder to deliver value to customers." What part of that isn't true so far? I can't wait to talk to this guy. The result, higher taxes, higher fees, higher wages, and many businesses simply cannot sustain, and endless regulations that strangle growth. Even the state of, I can't read this, it's so blurry. Oh, even the state, when they announce budget surplus, it's built on the back of ordinary citizens who are paying too much and businesses who are squeezed out until they break. At Bed Bath & Beyond, our responsibility is to our customers and shareholders, and we will not participate in a system that undermines both. Instead, we're investing in California's strategy that works: 24 to 48-hour delivery and, in many cases, same-day service. Californians will continue to get products they love through bedbathandbeyond.com, but without the inflated costs created by an unsustainable model. We're taking a stand because it's time for common sense. Businesses deserve the chance to succeed. Employees deserve jobs that last, and customers deserve fair prices. California's system delivers the opposite. That's why Bed Bath & Beyond will serve California customers directly through bedbathbeyond.com on our terms with the best interest at heart. Well, that didn't go well. That didn't go well, at least for Governor Newsom. So he issues this. After their bankruptcy and closure of every store, like most Americans, we thought Bed Bath & Beyond no longer existed. We wish them well in their efforts to become relevant again as they try to open a second store. Then Bed Bath & Beyond, again, the CEO responds, "Dear Governor Newsom, I thought your post would suggest we bring business leaders together to understand how to improve the 4 pillars and friction of business and find a way to make it better. 1, streamline regulation, consistent, simplified compliance rules across state and local levels. 2, balanced labor environment that's good for employees and employers. 3, litigation reform, reducing abusive lawsuits while keeping protection for workers. 4, competitive tax and cost structure, incentives to come as opposed to disincentives to leave. Also, we bought the IP 2 years ago. We built bedbathandbeyond.com into a $1 billion online business. We're targeting opening 300 small to mid-sized neighborhood stores through the Kirkland's investment. You're a smart man, and I know the post that you just posted was posted out of frustration." Really, I couldn't have done it. Nope. I posted, "Preach it, Marcus. Since I was a kid growing up in Seattle, I wanted to work and live in California, but now as an adult and a businessman, I realize I will never be able to do it. Your message makes me sad, as I have always seen California as a place for dreams and dreamers. Perhaps sometimes in the future, reason will return to the Golden State." I was lying there. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So,
no, we should maybe dive in at some point today, Glenn, of how many different Gavin Newsoms there are. Like every 3 weeks, this guy's unveiling a new personality. It's so bizarre. I mean, that guy, this angry social media guy. It was like 2 months ago. He was like sitting with Charlie Kirk and praising him. Like it's bizarre.
Anything to win.
Yeah,
anything to win.
This is Glenn Beck.
Marcus Lemonis is joining us next from chairman of Bed Bath & Beyond. Let me tell you about Tunnel to Towers. Imagine being told that your husband or your wife, the love of your life, is not coming home tonight or ever again. That they gave their last full measure of devotion as a first responder or a police officer or a soldier in the line of defense. You don't just lose your partner. You could lose the roof over your head now. Your kids, not just losing their family or their father or their mother, but also the house they grew up in. Lose the future, the security of your family, needs. You're having to worry now about grieving while worrying about what is going to pay the bills next month. Not on our watch. That is the movement of Tunnel to Towers. Tunnel to Towers is a fantastic charity. It's a national promise that the cost of freedom and safety will never be carried by these families alone. They pay off the mortgage. They take care of these families, and they never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. Donate while the rest of the world is saying, cops and soldiers and everything else, screw off. They're asking you to donate $11 a month to care for these heroes. T2T.org. That's T2T.org. Marcus Lemonis, he is the chairman, executive chairman of Bed Bath & Beyond, and he's currently in some sort of a fight, if you will. I don't think he's fighting it. I think he's reacting like a gentleman and a businessman with his responses to Governor Newsom. But he's in this argument with Governor Newsom because he said yesterday, Bed Bath & Beyond just cannot do business in California anymore. It's just too expensive. It's just too overregulated and no longer makes sense for Bed Bath & Beyond. Welcome to the program, Marcus.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very good. I just want to point out before we go, because I think this is important to say, because you started yesterday saying this is not about politics. And I just want to point out that you're not a Trump supporter. In 2017, you came out, and I'm not going to go through it because you went back and forth and corrected and everything else. But, you criticized what Donald Trump said in Charlottesville when it was thought that he had said, hey, and the Nazis are pretty good too, which we now know because the full audio and video is out, and we can show that that's not what he was talking about at all. But you came out, as did a whole buttload of other CEOs, and said, if that's what you believe, then, please, we don't necessarily want you shopping here. So it's not that you are doing this because you're a big Trump supporter. When I saw your name attached to this, I thought, no, this is about business, because he's not on either side here on this.
Yeah, I'm not on either side.
Is that accurate?
But I will tell you, yeah, it's kind of accurate from a historical standpoint. It's not accurate from a modern day standpoint. I think as time has gone on and the facts have been revealed and things have played out and moves have been made by this administration that I think advance business and advance the American, citizen in a way that I think it puts us back on track. I would say that I feel very differently today than I used to. And that's really not an emotional reaction. That's an intelligent reaction of just looking at what the administration is doing to try to deregulate business, not to the disadvantage of a worker and not to the disadvantage of anybody, but to the advantage of capitalism in our country and to the advantage of investing in American business. And, just as a reminder, Glenn, and you and I met a long, long time ago when I had the Prophet at CNBC, that my other business is Camping World. And I've been through hell and back trying to defend the flag from the same kind of ideology that I'm seeing out of California, which is your flags are too big, they're not approved. And, anybody does a little research, they'll see that, cities have sued me, cities have threatened to take me to jail, and the flag still hasn't come down. So what you'll find with me is that I try to be really pragmatic. I also happen to be a resident of Chicago, and if anybody wants a preview to the movie of what's going to happen in New York City, come to my apartment on Michigan Avenue, and I'll give you a preview to what's happened and how socialism is just crushing not only my personal property, but other businesses around me. So I would say as one gets smarter and one gets older and one learns more and one listens, you evolve as a human. And I want to make sure that we're clear about that.
I have to tell you, it doesn't change my point of view that this is about business, but I'm so glad you cleared that up, because, that's all people should be striving for, is when there are new facts available, you will actually say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't see that, I didn't know that, or, things are changing. I was wrong. Yeah. And that's so rare. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, let me give you another slam from the left, or from, the people on, Twitter, and even Gavin Newsom. Oh, you were out of business, and this is just a business move to get your name out there. Yeah. That's the only reason why you're taking California on.
Well, let's talk about that. So number one, I took over a company called Overstock about a year and a half ago, and Overstock was a business that's been out there a long time. and they bought the intellectual property in the fall of 23 from the bankrupt estate of Bed Bath & Beyond. And the reason that I took it over is that the company had lost its way and was losing a lot of money, and I made a commitment to the shareholders that we would get back to profitability. And as part of that, Bed Bath & Beyond is a significant underpinning of that. And so I needed to remind both Governor Newsom and other folks who we're celebrating the fact that Bed Bath & Beyond had gone out of business. We're celebrating the fact that Bed Bath & Beyond had filed bankruptcy. And it is true. It's a fact. It happened. As I told Hannity last night, it happened. The reality of it is that America's built on the modern day comeback. And we've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Bed Bath. We run $1 billion online business. We bought a business called Kirkland's, that's out of Jackson, Tennessee, a family business, and we're using those 300 stores to convert. 414 of them are in California. I was disappointed to see Governor Newsom, in my opinion, just from a level of professionalism, instead of saying, you know what, I don't agree with your points, and I think you're doing this for the wrong reasons, and whatever he wanted to say. However, I'd love to figure out how you and a bunch of other business leaders can tell me, as the governor of the fourth largest economy in the world, which he likes to remind us every single day, how to make it the third largest economy, and what I could do, what things are out there that I'm willing to compromise on, or that I'm willing to help understand, that will drive investment back into my state, that will drive capital back into my state, that will fill commercial real estate that's empty back into my state, to appreciate commercial properties, residential properties, and to drive value. Because as a governor of a state, my job is to protect my people. I get it, fine.
Right.
But also to create positive cash flow for my state, which means I generate more than I spend, but I don't want to do it on the backs of just creating another, nonsensical tax. I didn't get that. And that's really what has made me convinced that Governor Newsom is not doing things for the benefit of California. He's doing things because he thinks that his so-called base is going to rally around his nonsense.
So have you heard from other CEOs in the last 24 hours? Have you heard from anybody else in California? You don't have to name names, but
yeah, I won't.
Saying the same thing?
I have. I've heard from very, very significant tech leaders in the state of California asking if there's a way for them to set up a meeting with Governor Newsom and myself. Of course, the answer is yes. But they all acknowledge the silliness behind avoiding capitalism and rejecting capitalism as if it's this dirty word, and everybody that wants to make money or who's experienced success is a bad person. And that seems to be the theme that's coming out of the governor's office, particularly with his intern-run press room Twitter account, or whatever it's called these days.
So this is not a final decision with you. He could do something to change your mind.
I think if Governor Newsom was really thinking about a political run and running a state that he believes is the superior state in the country, he would invite myself, maybe not me, maybe I'm not qualified to be in a room with him, but other CEOs to say, hey, I'm hearing this and I want to learn and I want to change. Much like I said to you at the beginning of our conversation, what facts do I not have, and how can you convince me how I can do better, how I can learn more? That's the sign of a good leader. That's a leader that I want to follow. And that's, I think, even if you just take a look at our current president's, I think he's got a different tone in his second term than he does his first term, and I couldn't be convinced otherwise. It feels far more collaborative, and that's what I'm looking for.
Let me play the opposite side here for a second and say what Trump is doing. I see the regulation. I see what he's doing to business, and it is, thank God, I can finally breathe again as a businessman. However, if I'm in your business, I would assume you get a lot of material, a lot of your products from China. How are the tariffs affecting you?
Well, we've diversified the sourcing of our products, and the one thing that when I came in made it a bit of a mandate, and it's a balance between providing value to our shareholders and doing what I think is right. I come from the RV world where we make everything in Elkhart, Indiana, and we employ, tens of thousands of people that make products in this country. But there are parts and pieces that come from overseas. And the reality of it is that until manufacturing in the U.S. is is set up and can handle the capacity, that in the short term, there is an alternative sourcing. And that applies to furniture and lighting and certain textiles coming from around the globe. And the tariffs are not great. And I don't think that Trump would even try to defend that they're great. It's a rebalancing act. But Glenn, here's the thing that I mentioned on Big Money the other day. If you're really thinking about the triangulation of how Trump is approaching rebalancing everything, whether it is using energy as the leverage to bring Ukraine and Russia to the table, or using tariffs to bring other world leaders to the table, it's all really being done, in my opinion, to recalibrate America's position, both politically and financially, in a way that maintains our dominance.
I think you are spot on, and you're seeing that with the way he handled Ukraine. He went in tough with the tariffs over in Europe and with NATO. He was tough with them. And then he said, you want to support Ukraine? You can buy this stuff from us, but you have to do it, but we'll provide it to you. And now look at all of the world leaders are at the table. America is leading again, just not spending all the money and doing all the work. We are in the actual leadership position, which is remarkable. And I think he's doing that in every category.
Listen, I think the one thing that this administration can acknowledge is that the national debt is at a level that nobody believes it should be at, and the deficit's at a level that nobody believes it should be at. And it's a very complicated, but not overly complicated math equation. We have a certain amount of money leaving, and we have not enough money coming in. And the way that you rejigger that is to find the balance. And nobody that I know, including myself, is going to argue that the tariff execution in the last 6 months has been perfect. Like, I don't even think this administration would acknowledge it's been perfect.
Right.
It's been herky-jerky on the markets. It's been herky-jerky for business leaders. And at some point, we all hope and pray that it finds its footing at some point. And I'm not going to, nobody should try to convince anybody that the consumer isn't going to be slightly pinched. But the balancing act of being slightly pinched on the tariff side is what sort of relief could happen on the variable interest rate side. And that's why you see this other piece being triangulated around where's the monetary policy and how could that be, modified to provide the relief to offset.
Let me ask you, are you, as a pretty influential business leader, are you, what's your outlook look like for the first half of next year? People are kind of holding their breath, not sure what to do. Are we headed towards better times or same kind of times or worse times, do you think?
I think we're headed towards, unfortunately, probably a little bit more of the same. What may be extracted from that is a little bit of the volatility. The consumer does have, a significant amount of debt, and they do have a significant amount of pressure on them with the interest rates. The balance on the interest rates are you can't just rip them down by 2 points tomorrow. That's going to create chaos. You have to stair-step it down. And, like in retail or in any business, you test and you measure and you test and you measure.
Yeah, right.
And I think what Trump has been saying and what Besant's been saying is we just got to get some relief for consumers. One point, Glenn, that I want to make, inflation during the COVID period was a function of too much money in the system, too much free money in the system, and demand outpacing supply. In this particular instance, we don't have a demand outpacing supply problem. We have a reset of the cost of goods problem. And it's a different type of inflation. And some people have said to me, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. There's only one type of inflation. And the truth is, that's not right. Inflation driven by demand outpacing supply is a runaway train. Inflation, because you're resetting and recalibrating prices when supply and demand are relatively tight in nature, is an adjustment period. It's transitory. And you have to really look at the difference between the two. And I think the Fed needs to understand the difference between those two. Again, that's why business leaders should be far more involved.
Marcus, it's great to talk to you again. And I have to tell you, I think that's the first time anybody said this inflation is transitory that I've agreed with. Really great analysis on that. Thank you so much. Marcus Lemonis. From Bed Bath & Beyond. All right, let me take a quick break. Let me tell you about the Byrna launcher. Sometimes you find yourself thinking about the things in life that really, really matter, your family, your safety. The fact that evil just doesn't announce itself before it shows up. And that's why more and more I found myself carrying a Byrna launcher everywhere I go. I've always packed a gun. Always packed a gun. Well, I shouldn't say always. As soon as I moved out of New York, I always packed a gun. And the Byrna launcher is for my situation, it is better for me because I don't see myself pulling the gun and shooting somebody. I do at night if somebody comes into my house, my family, I'll shoot you dead. If I'm out someplace, I have a feeling that I could take my Byrna launcher and hit them with pepper gas or tear gas from 60 feet away, and I'm going to be okay. It will give you confidence that if trouble ever does come, you don't have to kill somebody. You know, you have an option to defend yourself and your family without having to take a life. This is the Byrna launcher. I want you to go to Byrna.com/Glenn and learn more about it. Byrna, BYRNA.com/Glenn. Go there now. Try before you buy at a Sportsman's Warehouse, but you can find a location near you. Go to the website right now and check this out. Byrna, BYRNA.com/Glenn.
Ain't no snake oil here. Just truth, grit, and good old-fashioned common sense. This is Glenn Beck.
When it's
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. Can we play cut one? This is a mom of a conservative son in Florida who's in school. Listen to this.
My son, 6 years old, was prohibited from sitting next to his friend on the school bus because a parent objected to my perspectives on book challenges. My older son's history teacher allowed students to label him a Nazi file simply for his interest in history and participation in ROTC. She later nominated my son as the most likely to become a dictator and had his classmates vote on it and try to force him to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values and our perspectives.
Thank you.
That's unbelievable. That's still happening in Florida. Absolutely unbelievable. Crazy. All right. We've made some progress on censorship with Tulsi Gabbard yesterday. We'll get to that here in just a second, so stand by.
This is Glenn Beck.